don't do it. I receive it.
The artists that are listening and tuning.
A frequency that we can tune into.
Turn to on, and you are ready to receive.
Great artist is someone who has the ability to access those ideas and reformulate them in the language of the waking state.
So I'm currently writing a PhD and I'm using an autoethnography, which means that I'm using narratives and creative story about my own personal experience and weaving it into the research. And I followed the advice of everyone like, yo, bro, you gotta just lock in. And I'm like, okay, bet, I'ma lock in. And for 1 week, this is what I did. I did 5 pages every single day because obviously if I sit down and do the work, it will be good. Wrong. On day 1, I write 5 pages and honestly, it was kind of sloppy, but I said to myself like, yo, let's trust the process. Let's just get the work done. On day 2, I'm at 10 pages and I'm looking back and I'm like, yo, like this is like, it's whatever. But you know what? I said I had a plan. I'm gonna commit to it. Day 3, I'm at 15 pages. I've now put in about like 10 to 12 hours of hardcore writing. And yo, the work isn't good. Like I'm looking at it and I'm just like, you know that thing where like you look at an outfit and it just feels off, like you can't really explain it, but something feels off about your fit. That's how I was feeling, like something was missing. And really what it was is like the soul was missing from it. And because I'm talking about like family issues and disability and kinship, like it's traumatic stuff. So like I think I was so angry when I was writing, I was just focusing on like getting that point across. But this now created a secondary procrastination because I was like, yo, I actually committed. I overcame the resistance and committed to my work. I locked in. And now that I did the work, it's not even good. So now, like, all the fears of inadequacy, like, yo, should I really do this? Maybe I should just, like, not talk about myself, just do, like, old, like, hardcore research. Maybe I'm not good enough for this. And all that secondary procrastination and doubt came into my mind. And that was because I wasn't locking in the right way. Now, what was happening inside of my mind was that every time I went to sit down and write, I was closing down.
When you're an artist, to be able to continually be inspired, you have to continually recreate so that you can be vibrating at the frequency you need to be able to pick up the things that you're being transmitted. I'm just an antenna, you know, I don't do this. It comes to me.
So in my writing, I'm talking about something painful. And because of that, I noticed that when I was writing about it, I was just trying to convey the intensity. I wanted the reader to really feel like the pain I was going through. But by doing that, I became so obsessed with getting my point across that I was just missing the soul of it. I was missing the bigger point from the memory I was expressing. And it's so wild. On my spare time, I was researching into creativity and spirituality. And like one of the things that came across was this idea of opening, and it changed everything for me. And the idea is that there's an infinite creative self within you. And if you can just relax into that and not close down, you'll be able to tune into that frequency where you can pull those ideas down and download them and express them through your body, mind, and create beautiful works of art.
Think of finding your creative center as being a phrase that we use for being in alignment. When we're on our spiritual center, we're very receptive and fluid. We move in the direction that we are cued.
But when you're closed down, your fists are clenched and you're really focused on one thing, it's like the ideas remain inside of your mind and you're just like regurgitating the same idea over and over. You're not expansive. You're not in that frequency where you're able to receive and open up to other ideas. And because I was so angry, I was closing down in my writing and not connecting to other things outside of me. And I created this little ritual where in the morning I would journal, if need be. I wouldn't do it all the time. And then I would meditate, and this really stilled my mind. But the point is not to be a celibate of the world or a virgin of reality. Like the point is to dance in the chaos. That's how you birth a star. And I noticed that I would listen to music, things that would just vibe me up and make me feel good. So like when you're in front of the mirror in your washroom, doors locked, and you're like listening to music and jamming out, like in that moment, you're intuiting fearlessness. Like that's what you are. We come into the world fearless, but it's because we have so many thoughts and so many beliefs and ideas. Fear comes from thoughts and time. You add them together and then you create this lore of like self-scaring. And I noticed that I was doing this. I wasn't coming from the depth of who I was. There wasn't a level of vulnerability. My mind was just crowded by thoughts from society, myself, fears, doubts, all these like superficial desires.
When we try to connect to a divine source, our creativity is unlimited. Our creativity is expansive. Our creativity is encouraged. I began to witness miracles.
And this is not something religious, it's just realizing what you are. You are infinity. And when you source yourself from that depth, your life unfolds as truth. It's not something calculated, you're spontaneously creating on the spot. Imagine that you had a lover and you wanted to express to them the love that you feel for them. You could write it down on a pen and paper, and you might have the right words that convey how you feel. But imagine if you went up to them with an open heart, relaxed, jaw loose, stomach open, and you just said, I just wanted to tell you that you are the love of my life. And you said it from such a place of truth. It could be more powerful than the letter ever could be. In fact, at this moment when you're completely open, you don't even have to say anything. Silence could express more than a letter ever could.
Getting out of the way as much as possible. I don't do it. I receive it.
And you probably know what I mean when you've had a difficult conversation, but the vulnerability and the silence was so powerful, it moved you to tears. That's the depth I'm talking about. That's the deep truth of who you are. Give another example of depth that's within you. Imagine if you've seen a child who you deeply love go under the sink and grab a bottle of bleach. You get really upset, you get very angry, and you go and you snatch the bottle from them and you're like, how could you do that? I love you so much. Even though I'm angry, because it's coming from depth, because it's coming from the deepness of my love, it unfolds as the magnification of my deepest truth. And that's actually powerful, because if I wasn't angry and I just went, oh honey, don't do that, it's not going to be a genuine expression of love. No, I feel strongly and therefore I act strongly with the anger, but it's coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place of openness. As I began to open and relax and breathe fully and not be restricted, like right now, if I told you relax your jaw, you probably noticed that you were clenching it. Or relax your stomach, you probably noticed it's a little bit tight. Relax your legs, you notice that, wow, I was flexing my legs. And that's what I started to do. I began to relax into my truth and realize the infinity of who I was. And when I did that and I approached my work like that, I noticed that it was like synchronicity. I would go into coffee shops and I would like pick up ideas that related to my topic that I would have never seen before. I noticed that I was writing about disability and care and I was really angry about it, but then I was able to pick up perspectives from all over and realize like, no, I'm not angry about the positionality. I'm angry about the circumstances that created it. And I seen the whole thing from such a different light because I was open. Literally the work came right through me and I was able to write this chapter and the one right after. But then I noticed that something was beginning to come up. I began to feel resistance again.
And sometimes we can tune into it and sometimes we can't.
This is the hardest part to understand, but it gives you a direction for the rest of your life. It's that there's a creative war going on inside of you. Your highest self is infinity and it's telling you to do certain things. It's telling you to jump off into the abyss and to leap into the stars. Whereas your conscious lower self, your 3D body and mind is saying, no, don't do that. We've built up so much comfort. We have a stable career. We have all the stability around us. Why would I sacrifice all of that for some vision in my head? And spiritual practice, as David Data describes it, is one of anguished ecstasy. It's like the anguish comes from knowing that like it's killing you, that you have this vision inside of you, but you can't make it into reality. And it's telling you, no, stop settling for mediocrity. No, go further, go. Like you have this guiding light inside of you. But then we always constantly suppress it and sidestep it and go into comfort and never actually play at our edge. You can lie to yourself, but you will feel it deep within. Like you're probably a creative and you know what I'm talking about. Like there's this thing burning inside of you that says like, yo, you gotta go for it. You gotta go for it. And then day after day, you could sidestep it and skip it over and over and over. And it's this conformity where you can actually end up having kids and having friends and being in relationships and being in things that you just don't want. When people say they've had an existential or midlife crisis, that's because they've kept numbing that creative voice that's within them for such a long period of time. They reach a certain point where they can't numb it anymore, and then they just break into this crisis. It's like your highest self has already given you a path. It's telling you go this way. And so long as we don't lean into that edge and we don't fall into destiny, we're always disconnected and feeling empty. And that's the anguish part. But the ecstasy is knowing that like I'm infinite. I'm fearless, I'm boundless, I am love, I am the infinite self, I could do anything, and you can lean into that. That's when we talk about infinity and relaxing into your truth and opening, listening to music, relaxing, realizing that, I'm infinite. That's the place where you free fall into the holes of your fears.
Michelangelo goes in and out comes David or the Sistine Chapel. Well, the kind of artists that we honor are the artists that are listening and tuning to that part of themselves that is not conceptual, and then bringing it down into the grosser form of sound or visual or so on.
And it's by staying intimate and French kissing our fears, making love with it, not stressing ourselves out and saying like, okay, well now I'm gonna post a YouTube video every single day for next year. Like, by doing that, you stress yourself out and you violate the growth process. But by French kissing your specific fears over and over, you can have love come through, and therefore your life unfolds as truth. Like, that's the creative practice. And that's why I say for creatives, we lock in by staying open, by being present and giving our deepest gifts amidst the chaos. There's been a lot of creatives who've made beautiful works of art, even though they're real up, but their hearts were open and they were able to express how they're feeling through the chaos and creating something beautiful from that. And it's from that process of realizing the depth of who we are and changing our patterns from that place, we can end the self-sabotage that comes from not being aligned on our purpose and tap into that frequency and make our dreams come to reality. From square to star, let's go.